staring at the ceiling, at the floor, out the window. Each session starts with a vicious, long silence. He does everything he can not to look into his therapist's eyes. That's right, folks. German Iraki has gone to therapy. At last, he slowly raises his head to look at her. He still didn't forgive her for what she told him at the previous meeting. Maybe you're overreaching. 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 That word keeps looping in his head over and over again.
Of course I'm overreaching. That's how I progress.
He thinks to himself.
Is she questioning my creative process? Is she questioning my dearest ally? Rebellion?
Except in struggle, there is no more beauty. No work without an aggressive character can be a masterpiece. Poetry must be conceived as a violent attack on unknown forces. Those words are out of the Futurism Manifesto. Are they a painful truth or a dark lie? Can creativity flourish without force? Stay tuned as we go deeper into the minds of our inner rebellion. Once again, dear listeners, you are tuned into Country Rebels, Chapter 9.
Rebellion sits in the center of my practice, the main method of movement for me, that is. And it's a powerful tool, especially in times of low self-esteem, when you don't feel that confident about yourself. You kind of push back with that rebel energy, like, I'll show you. Push back. That's right, that's the core of rebellion. It's a pushback. It is always in opposition to some force, always exterior, pushing outwards. If rebellion can't find a force to push against, it will make that force up. It flourishes in clashes and crashes. Blazing fire, it assembles the ashes to sculpture new forms. Rebellion is my closest ally, my method of overcoming fear. But now I'm starting to wonder. Say I'm standing in front of a specific problem, a specific fear that I have, and I've gained momentum and some courage, and I've jumped over that fear, pushing against it, that is. Did I really overcome that fear, or will it keep haunting me? Will it keep radiating from within, that is? The question is, can fear be overcome with force? And I don't know, so I decided to ask some people around me the following question. How do you overcome your fears?
Oh, I look at overcoming fear. I don't make fear control me. I face any problems I have head on and conquer it right now. Me confront fear and get rid of it. Fear no in my book. Yeah, man.
How do I overcome my fears? Well, when a fear comes up, the best way I know to deal with it is to see it for what it is, a form of thought. Sometimes it's when it's too big, sometimes I don't dare to go into it. Some magic happens when I look into my patterns, into any pattern, and also the pattern of fear. I can take another picture, mental picture, and put my energies on the other picture. Not in a way that it's kind of cheating myself. Switching the possibility I had before in my mind to a new one, because it all exists in the field.
Fear is a ghost. It needs a projection to have a sense of reality. You were not born with fear. Fear came later into your life. And the consequence of living life with fear is that you create a double personality. So, how to overcome fear? My dear Koyo, it's so simple if you have the courage. To overcome fear, you have to love yourself. Then you realize that that is enough. No need to live a double life.
How do I overcome my fears?
By don't letting my fears overcome me and push forward. Use determination and go forward.
I close my eyes and focus on who I am.
Fear to me, is a fear of what will happen or what has happened. So therefore, if we're conscious now and we're being our best self and we're truly feeding ourselves all the nutrition that we need to create happiness, that will ultimately resolve any fears.
So I just realized I needed to answer that question you sent me in a voice message, and it was like a new fear, a bit scary for me. But then I was like, shit, that's the whole point. So usually I just like to look at things that I'm scared of, almost like a psychopath. Like I'm trying to do magic on them or move them or make them fly. And then I just understand that I'm an organism in a huge nature, and that most of my problems are civilization problems, and then everything starts shrinking proportionally. So I don't overcome anything, I just shrink it with magic. How I do it, I just imagine myself as an animal in nature, and nature is way scarier than civilization. Like, I need money, I could die today. I could die today from a huge mountain, you know? Money shrinks. Money shrinks next to a mountain. A mountain shrinks everything, yeah? Mountain, jungle, animals in the wild itself, everything just shrinks. So I don't overcome fear, I shrink it.
Bei Angst reagiere ich mit Attacke. When I'm afraid, I react with aggression. Ich überlege, warum ich angegriffen werde und dann schlage ich zurück. I consider why I'm being attacked and then I strike back.
In order to overcome my fears, I talk about the thing that I'm afraid of in a way that changes my perspective regarding it. When put into words, I can see it as an object that is separate from myself. It's not my entire universe at the moment. All of a sudden, from being fear, it turns into being a thought or an idea or a sensation.
Whenever I see fear rising up, I bring myself down to the ground. And when I see that I am afraid of something, I ask myself, what do you choose? Fear or love? And it's much easier to answer love when I am connected to the ground underneath me. I can choose love.
I think the best way for me is just to approach it slowly. Like only dipping my feet in the water. But I know the real way to go through fear is to jump straight into the deep end and face it. Because that's the only way to truly overcome it for me. And yeah, most of the time I don't keep my word and I choose not to deal with it and just hope it will go away. But every time I confront it, I get stronger, even if it's small steps.
Bei Angst reagiere ich mit Flucht. Whenever I feel truly frightened, my reaction is to flee. Das geht aber meistens nicht. However, that is usually not a viable option. Und so versuche ich mich mit Worten zu verteidigen und den anderen zu beschwichtigen. So I try to defend myself with words and appease the other person.
Fire that is blooming there for me, sweeter than the morning dew, and I'll soon return to you. You're a flower that is blooming there for me.
First of all, this is what I do. I get into meditation and acknowledge that I was born and created to be happy, and so I start reprogramming my mind by letting go of the thoughts that cause worries into my life, getting detached from all the events of life that cause worries into my life, and then substitute them with thoughts that arise my positive energy, you see? And also acknowledge that everything that happens in my life happens for a good reason, for a lesson for me to learn and understand life better, so that I become a better version of myself. Thank you.
I overcome my fears with music. I play my guitar and I sing, and the focus changes to my music and not to the fears. And suddenly everything looks brighter and everything looks much more lovable.
The underlying fundamental uneasiness of my experience as a human being is constant, and fact is that each and every moment I have a part of me which is fully afraid. Fear is death. I guess my way of dealing with fear is living.
You know, you really triggered me with this, and I carry it around for weeks already, and I don't manage to find an answer. I'm afraid for my own answers, so I'm just not answering, and this is my response. I'm just not doing anything. I'm just waiting. I'm just freezing. I'm just letting it pass. Scared from the question. I don't know how to deal with my fears at all. I'm just waiting and sitting it out and wait that the circumstances somehow change into my favor again. The embarrassing part is also that I have to show this face to you, that the future fear, the financial fears, the fears of not being good enough. I'm in total freeze. Thank you for raising the right questions. Yeah.
I think in one point I just get tired of being afraid or being in this like state of fear. It's like it's transforming the fear, into anger maybe, and then it's like, yeah, okay, fuck it all. I'm just like fuck it, I'm just gonna do it. Or out of frustration maybe also. No, it's like, yeah, it doesn't even matter anyway, so like I don't care. And then you just do it. Or out of like love and compassion, and it's like, yeah, it's okay. It's okay. You can do it. You don't need to be afraid of it. It's okay. So I think that's the three main things that like leads to the action of overcoming the fear. I feel this word overcoming, like it's not overcoming, it's just like transforming the fear into something else. I don't think you can overcome fear. I think it can be like to change its shape.
Yo, dear listeners, this is of course a very Country Rebels idiosyncratic kind of scope of answers, but I think there are different colors here, and it's very touching for me to hear the different voices and the different rhythms of people talking and taking their time to answer this question. And so I thank everybody who participated and gave their voice and their answer. I think it's kind of funny that because I went to therapy, German Iraqi now has to take everybody around him to therapy with this with this question. So this chapter we are focusing on rebellion as an interior emotion, what happens and what prompts us to rebel against something and to push back, because it's always a pushback. And what other emotions can we learn in face of fear, in face of stagnation? And to link that up with creativity, every time I sit down to create something, I feel like it's a struggle. It's not some kind of harmonious, nice act. There is always some kind of pushback and rebel energy inside that. And so we ask the question, can creativity flourish without force? Because we don't want really to fetishize this struggle. I mean, that's this futurism manifesto. Poetry must be conceived as a violent attack against unknown forces. There is something very dark in that, and kind of like glorifying the pain, and kind of like as if you're some kind of a hero for being in pain, like Van Gogh style that is. Yet still there is something that resonates with me in that, in my experience. So we're gonna go back to that, but for now let's listen to some music. You are tuned into Country Rebels with German Iraqi.
One time again.
Train
can't go. Leave it, I can't go. I'm happy I do feel. Lord, yeah, it blow, Lord, Lord, yeah, it blow.
It's like you get married, no? You go with the wife. Why? The woman is wise. You take the woman. If you respect the woman, you will never have child. You need to open the costume and to rape the bride, and then you will have your picture. I was raping Frank Heber, you know, raping like this, but with love, with love.
This was Alejandro Jodorowsky talking about something very essential in creative process, because he's talking about specifically about the movie Dune that he was trying to make, and in the end he didn't make it, but how he was approaching the script, the original script. And he's talking about that if you do anything in this world, any creative process, you have to use whatever you use from the world, and you in a sense disrespect it. You must disrespect the material that you use, because you use it as a material. And even if it's the world that you see, you use it as a material, the things that you see, the thoughts that you have. And if you would totally respect it, and you would only respect it, then you would acknowledge its wholesomeness, and you would not want to use it as a material. You would not want to change it in any given way. So as soon as you are in a creative process, there is a sense of violence only because of the movement and the approach towards the world as material, something that you touch and move and change. If you look outside and it's very beautiful and everything is very beautiful and the world is beautiful, then there is no sense to move anywhere if everything is so perfect and wonderful. And so any movement in the water is violating the quiet pond in which you are swimming in. That's pretty heavy, man. Anyway, just he says in the end, with love. So let's emphasize this, with love.
Intellectual murder people edition. Cock empire full of gun like Remington. Fully charge up, big up a killer man. Ratty gang to mega. Pussy run up if you bad. Kryptonite coming and the most fighting at the middle of the night to make the place get noisy. You never know, see a little juvenile. Could I run in your yard and take a cheap pint, say. Pabellian pandelian in the street, pandemian in the book, Jesus Christ, say. No make him man, no make him out, no make him sick, even I itch more. That she man, nobody can't find this me. You must be sick. And I said, but tail and jumping at this 45 feet, me caught it, now miss. My finger moves, me gun them nasty, go be them sick. This me, I'm in the murder to what them up in this 45 feet, me caught it, now miss. My finger moves, me gun them nasty. Yo, listen up, party man, tell them get the tongue up. Every gun's up, every killer mass up. Chop up on them in board, every caught up. Does a man not for the way you feel me lips up. No say must mad, my killer them no work so. Panga them a jack food through Wells Fargo. And a pie be a gun for anything start up. Pull it dark, pull it charger, pull it crab up, this me. You must have said. And I said everything I jump in at this 45 feet, me caught it, now miss. My finger moves, me gun them nasty, go be them sick. This me, I no kill two of them up in at this 45 feet, me caught it, now miss. Me gun, hey, shut up man, no. That a quarter.
I think this is a pretty good example to what we've been talking about. The violin is always struggling to get over the beat, and the kind of both the beats and the violin are kind of clashing into one another. It's not a harmonious mix. And I'm not trying to compliment myself here, but trying to make a point that both tracks, the produced track and the violin, are very beautiful on their own. They are wonderful, and they are wholesome. But if I would only see that, and I would only respect them for what they are, I would never put them together. There has to be a sense of force to create something, and to dare to move something on top of one another, and approach it as material, and by that, violating its wholesomeness. Rebellion of the Gaps. Dirt fills the air, and your screeching voice cuts through the sparks. You quote politicians and sing pop songs at the 7 directions. Jumping around, you turn north, south, east and west, up and down and towards your heart. You spit into the fire, and you kick the shaman in his ribs. Open the fucking straight. Praise be to Allah, you shout out. You divide your dirt equally and your violence creatively. The shaman bleeds into the earth, and he thanks you. His gratitude holds no value to you. Neither does my plea for forgiveness. Still, I whisper to you, forgive me, Heyoka, as I shut my eyes and leave this earth. because I am full of shame.
Some way that I feel that the world in general is not safe because of the fear of men.
Rebellion of the gaps between the systems, the artificial systems that have manufactured to rule our lives, and between how we actually move around the world. There is a gap between the philosophies that we build around our lives and that people have articulated, and between what actually happens. There is a gap, and there is always this kind of gap, and this gap is very healthy, and this gap will never close. You don't want this gap to close, you know? And rebellion, this energy lives in that gap, in between what we want and what actually happens. There is a movement in between. And rebellion energy is not good or not bad. It's just doing the opposite and shifting things around in this gap, that is. And when this gap tightens up and there is no space of movement, then it's like water again. We go back to water. It's like standing water, and it kind of gets... well, it gets fucking dirty, you know, when the energy is not moving. And now if you go to the men, any man knows that he needs to suppress his feelings, because I don't want to be a fucking sissy. I don't want to be a fucking sissy. So this suppression is very much similar, and something bad is cooking up inside when there is this deep suppression. Something dangerous, something rotten, that is. And that is why I think we men are unreliable. Which is kind of sad. It's very sad.
couch, yeah. I'm that cowboy. What up, y'all, man? Take a stay, y'all, boy. Hey. Till now, sitting in the Ford truck with the farmer tractor, man, I gotta run, yeah. Got that gas tank, fill it up quick. Gotta do my chores, gotta pick up sticks, gotta get that corn out in Texas. Yeah, I got the rest, yeah, I'm feeling
I don't believe that motherfucker for a second. So this time we are talking about rebellion, as we always do, but this time through the lens of some kind of more inner rebellion. Rebellion as a method of movement. Rebellion that is an energy that is unsatisfied with the current state of situation and wants to change something. And creativity is same in that matter, because it looks at the world and it wants to create change. It wants to bring something into this world, and it is hungry. It is unsatisfied with the current state. We moved on to talk a little bit about stagnation and about what happens when energy doesn't move or rebellion doesn't move, and so how something gets dirty when it doesn't move, like water, that is. And so I want to remember a conversation that I had once with a man. There are some things that sometimes somebody tells you and you can't forget them, and they just stick in your head for years. And it was that was when I was 19, and this dude, this older man, was like telling me that he used to be an artist and a sculptor, and he used to do all these things, but now he doesn't need to do all those things anymore. He says that he just sits down and he looks at the world and experiences the world, and it's a creative act for him, and that satisfies this creative impulse. But somewhere behind that I could feel some bitterness, some stagnation. And so I don't believe this motherfucker for a second. But still, this conversation keeps sitting in my head, because it makes you wonder, why create anything in this world? Why move at all in this world? Why rebel against anything at all? And not just sit back and watch the world as it is. And some of those Zen philosophies talk about acceptance and the wholeness of the world as it is. And I just don't get it. Like, of course I don't accept the world as it is and reality as it is. Of course I want to object to the way things are and create motion in the world. Any creative act, in a way, is an objection to the current situation, because you want to create something new in this world. And it feels very natural. Like, accepting the world as it is doesn't feel natural to me as a human. No, I don't accept it. And I don't know, but I'm willing to accept that maybe there's a certain part there that I don't get and I'm yet to understand. Anyway, let's listen to David Lynch talking about suffering in creativity.
And someone asked me, how come you got this, all these films are so dark, and, you know, there's so much violence, there's so much this. And thinking about this, I fall in love with certain ideas. I am where I am, but I know that you don't have to suffer to show suffering. You don't have to die to show a death scene. The actor doesn't have to remember dying before. You can know things and you can understand things. And this ocean of consciousness is understanding. And when you catch an idea and you can understand more and more of it, this is something that you got to do. The understanding grows, awareness grows. And so the filmmaker doesn't have to be suffering to show suffering. Stories are always going to have conflict. And they're going to have highs and lows and goods and bads and all this conflict. But you're back here as the orchestrator of it, and you don't have to be suffering to show suffering. And it goes like that.
You are tuned in to Country Rebels, brought to you by the German Iraki.
Yes, sir. I sometimes feel like we have to play some country to deserve the title Country Rebel. So let's listen to some country. Kind of country.
Yeah, but now I'm dodging potholes in my sunburned Silverado, like a heartbroken desperado, headed right back to my roots. Something about the way she kissed me tells me she loved Eastern Tennessee. Yeah, but all I brought back with me was some sand in my boots. I said, let's go shoot tequila. So we walked back to that beach bar. She said, don't cowboys drink whiskey. So we drank bottom shelf. She said, damn, that sky looks perfect. I said, girl, you never seen stars like the ones back home. And she said, maybe I should see them for myself. Yeah, but now I'm dodging potholes in my sunburned Silverado, like a heartbroken desperado, headed right back to my roots. Something about the way she kissed me tells me she loved Eastern Tennessee. Yeah, but all I brought back with me was some sand in my boots.
I don't want to get adjusted to this world.
Sweetheart, sweetheart, let us get married. Oh, darling, how can you slight me? I'll work for you both late and early. If you, my wedded wife, will be. A jealous thought ran through his mind. I'll kill that girl, my own true lover, before that boy shall be my child. Stepped to the bar and he began thinking. This very same thought ran through his mind. I'll kill that girl, my own true lover. I'll give her poison in a glass of wine. He stepped to the bar and he called them to her. We both drank poison in a glass of wine.
country rebels, boy. One time again, me tell ya.
Though her hands may be hardened from labor, and her dress may not be very fine, but a heart in her bosom is beating that is true to her class and her kind. And the bosses know that they can't change her. She died to defend the workers' world, and the Orient thoroughbred lady is a rebel girl. She's a rebel girl, a rebel girl. She's a working class, the strength of this world. From Maine to Georgia, you see her fighting for you and for me. Yeah, she's there by your side with her courage and pride. She's unequal anywhere. And I'm proud to fight for freedom with the rebel girl. Yes, I'm proud to fight for freedom with the rebel girl.
To conclude this show, I want to play a cut from Norman Finkelstein, activist and writer. When he was interviewed on Novara Media, he's quoting a song where they sing, "I don't want to be adjusted to this world." And I think it's very touching what he says there. So we're going to listen to Norman Finkelstein's cut, and then we're going to listen to the song as well.
There's a song that goes, I don't want to get adjusted to this world. I got a home that's so much better, I'm going to get to sooner or later. I don't want to get adjusted to this world. Now, the home sooner or later was supposed to be heaven, but for me it was a better world. So it's not religion that drives me forward. It's the refusal to participate in a system which at one point in time exterminated my parents' family. And this point in time gives no future to young people. Victories are so tiny. They're so tiny. That's the most you can hope for right now. These tiny, tiny victories. But then what's the alternative? To walk away? No.
It's extremely touching for me and sad to say, I don't want to be adjusted to this world. I don't want to be a part of this world. It reminds me of the song which we played on this show a few times, which is, this world is not my home. It's similar to that. And there's something about rebellion which takes that position in a way. Not wanting to be part of the current state of situation. Wanting something different. Let's listen now to the song I Don't Want to Be Adjusted to This World, performed by Iris Dement, originally written as a church song by Sanford J. Massengale.
this world we have our trials, sometimes lonesome, sometimes blue, but the hope of life eternal makes all old hopes brand new. I don't want to get adjusted to this world, cause I've got a home so much better, and I'm gonna go there sooner or later, and I don't want to get adjusted to this world. Lord, I'm growing old and weary. There's no place that feels like home. Savior, come, my soul, and ferry to where I never more will roam. I don't want to get adjusted to this world, to this world. I've got a home so much better, and I'm gonna go there sooner or later, and I don't want to get adjusted to this world. I don't want to get adjusted to this world, brother, to this world, cause I've got a home so much better, and I'm gonna go there sooner or later, and I don't want to get adjusted to this world.
I know no I know no cause I know no
I don't want to be adjusted to this world. Is that rebellion, not wanting to be part of this world?
Chandan chandan wanyo ananyamiri hangwe wana kana washangayo choboro menye tanu wanga.
Norman Finkelstein refers to not wanting to adjust to this world as the power behind his force of rebellion, his force of pushing back against the current state. But it's interesting because not wanting to be a part of this world, there's no aggression in it.
Omiyagagweja intezanga nabareba benkoba inyoine nenda njarengerwa ebyo Azansheja Ahenono Ambe Yabare Mnonga Kajano Mwebare Ambe Azansheja
Moving forward, we will be looking into what rebellion means as a personal response to the circumstances of our lives, this pushback energy that is. We will emphasize the link between our personal acts of objection and rebellion to rebellion in a social construct, from the personal interior point out to an exterior global perspective. One time again, this is the voice of German Iraqi bringing you Country Rebels, this time Chapter 9. We thank you, dear listeners, for listening and participating.
As we progress through the chapters, stay attentive, dear listener.